All right, everybody, we are now live. It is 8:02 p.m. Pacific time. Weekly just closed, and we now just started a possible weekly downtrend coming from uh, this close right here at 108,000. It's actually an ideal spot to short, and if we're going to short Bitcoin looking for lower. Let me mark a weekly here, so you mark it. I would actually be looking for around 98,000 as a potential spot for it to bounce, given that these levels here, I have these levels here are pretty much tested. So if we were going to grab the liquidity from this weekly level here, I'm not expecting this box here to hold. I do wanted to test this impulse of this swing right over here to act as support. Why, you may ask, is because this is the move that took you up and down, right? That's how you get your support. So that's what I'm ideally looking for on the weekly. I'm not looking for these levels to really hold, as they made a new low between below this low right here. So this would be the high. Well, this would be the high, this would be the low, and this would be the potential lower high relative to here. Is that clear? If we were going to trend down on within this time frame, this level here at 98,000, this could be make a new low, but this could be also a new high relative to here if we do bounce from here, right? But it really depends if they do test this 108,000 level before they dump it. Because if they dump it right off of the bat without testing the 108,000, and they go to 98,000 right away, this 98,000 can act as a ping pong to go to 108,000, if that makes any sense. I'll just clean up the chart a little bit more so we have more clarity with what we want to see happen first within the chart, right? Turn on my magnet tool real quick, because I guess I like to get perfect lines. So I would like to see what happens first. They could dump it right here. So if they do dump it here, 98,000 is a great place to bid. If they do pump it, 108,000 is a great place to short. I would like to see which one comes first. If this comes down, you can get this to happen first. If not, it would sort of go the other way around, right? Those are the two things. You got to see what comes first within this time frame. Also, keep in mind, this bottom range here is not going to hold on Bitcoin. I'm only interested in the midpoint. Why, you may ask? Because this is your weekly support right here, a 93,000, right? And they've already tested this level twice. They gained it, they closed above it, and they tested it twice. So if price does not hold 98,000 and we start coming to 93,000, I would not be interested in bidding this area at all. It's a no bid zone. Where I would be interested in bidding is this swing right here. This swing is very important. Why? Because you came up, took you to that low. That's your support. You also have weekly support here. You also have weekly support here, because this took you all the way up, right? You can identify the trends pretty easily here within that region, right? So you know where support can possibly bounce from. So I'm not interested in 93. There's literally no point of bidding it. I'll draw another eclipse tool here, just so you understand why it's not a good spot to really bid. The weekly held above. So as of right now, the weekly is still pretty decent as of right now. I would like to see how things play out on the daily time frame for Bitcoin if we were going to hold around this area. but then again, we made a new low. So that's the most important thing to keep in mind. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to mark this here. I'm going to change the color to red. And I'm just going to put a text. New low was made here. So that's clear, right? Okay. I push it to the daily. So what has happened on the daily time frame? Take out the brush tool again. So you had this low, right? You had a high, then you had a higher low, you had a high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high here, right? Is this going to be a lower high here? I'll make this. This is going to be a lower high. That's a good question, right? Because we're just playing trend, right? So it does make sense to reject here. It didn't close above on the daily time frame right here. And if it did, it would actually be good to pump, but it didn't. So if we're going to push to try to make a new low, it would obviously be below the red line, right? If we were going to make a new low. Otherwise, what happens is price starts to tighten and makes those triangles that get tight or whatever, sort of to similar something to here. It's going to get tighter, right? So, yeah, I agree too. So I would like to see what would happen. So where would the potential, so let's say we've been trending down and this is your low right here at around 100,350. Where would that potential higher low be relative to here, right? Well, we know we have trends here that we can work off of. They tested this level at 103.9. I really wouldn't be interested in a second test there. So I would like to look more into this cluster of price action on the left to get a better idea of where we could possibly long if you were interested in longing, because as it gets tighter, you sort of just manage your risk on to when and how you think it will break out to. And if it goes your way, if it goes your way. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But when things get tighter, you have a more defined stop loss and a better idea of where price is headed. So going back to it, where do I think is potential good spots for a lower high relative to 100,350, right? So we have this swing right here at 101, untested. And I actually like, could you do a box in a box? I guess you could, honestly. So get rid of this 103.9 level. I like these levels here. So I'm going to put a box in a box so you could sort of see where it is going. I can delete this for now, that weekly one. But I would like to maybe see price come down to 103 to 102.7, because you've seen how many times they've already used this. So it actually is like potentially nice support here if it does come down here again. If it doesn't, here. And your invalidation would be here at 100,300. Because if 100.3 doesn't hold, you're going to get that weekly at 98. It's always better to long lower and just hope that you don't get stopped out there. But if you take out this red line, here, I'm going to mark out the red line. Here. If you take out 100.7, for instance. Oh, no, not 100.7. My mistake. If you take out price here, at 100, 350. You want this to be your high or low if you're going to pull back here. So your stop loss would be at this line because that's trend, right? Style line red. That's where your stop would need to be if you long it. Because then you're risking another 2%, right? And then if this doesn't hold 98, then you're at least hoping for price to bounce all the way till 85. So you're actually, if you're longing and you're invalidated, you're basically going to be playing with fire for this price action to go all the way down to 86,000 if you do not put a stop loss. Because then your trend is just going to be continuing lower at that point. If you make a new low, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, right? I marked it here. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. If you get stopped out, new low, lower high, lower low. You get it? That's why your invalidation is important. And then if you do get stopped out, then you can say, oh, I was wrong, and now I have a reason to go short, because you know what your invalidation is then. If you know what your invalidation is, then you're like, okay, I now know the trend is possibly going lower on the daily time frame. So I'm just going to continue playing the downtrend until we hit a weekly level, for instance, which would be 98,000, right? When you're looking for trend to reverse, it's either at a monthly level or a weekly level, which is 98. A weekly level, which is 86. If you lose 98, you're going to the next weekly. Right? Let's look at the monthly. Clean up some of this yellow lines here. So that weekly level coincides with that monthly at 98, right? So that's a weekly. We go to the monthly. You have a monthly level here at 96, which is higher time frame support, and you have 82,000, right? These are monthly levels that you want to hold, right? Very important. So you can generally say, if you want to be more specific with a general idea of where you would like to see price to hold, it would be around here. And then you have a big zone. Oops. You have a big zone around here to see price hold. And it's funny because the midpoint of that big zone is that monthly level at 82,000. So your monthly is going to be your highest probability area to bounce. But then again, you're looking at the ranges, and I'm looking at the ranges again from a clean chart. Below 96, you're coming down to here at least. That is definitely going to happen. Not definitely, nothing is 100%, but that is very likely going to happen. Unless you close and go back above it on that weekly time frame, right? It's like a fail to lose, right? You fail to go lower. You go lower. Whoops, that's not the tool I wanted. You make a new low. Below here, you close. Let's say this line is closed below, and then you close back above it. And then if you close back above this box, this would be your area of support, which you would want to bid, right? You could even be bidding here at 93,000. Depends how it closes. And then you could probably push back up. It's okay if you close below. But if you close below and you do not close back above it, then it's going lower. If you close back above it, then it could possibly go higher again. You could catch a retest along. Similarly to what Bitcoin did the other day. Here, let me use a clean chart. Trash this stuff, right? What happened? It's the same idea. It's all rinse and repeat. what did you do? You had your support here, and what did it do? Right? This candle here, I can even go back in time. I think we could use the replay, right? So what did price do? We're gonna play. Okay. You want to see 103,000 hold as support, as they tested it already a couple times. So play. Okay, you close below. What did you do? Let me slow this down. Okay, it closed above it, that candle. What did it do? This is the idea. You closed above that level, you retested it to the dot, perfect entry. That's perfect entry right there, right? And then now you're coming back trying to get above that 105,000 level, if it does, right? So going back to the original chart, exit, yes, exit. It's the same idea on the weekly time frame. If you do close it below these levels here, and then you close back above it, then you can look for a retest to get long. That's the idea right now. With this current daily candle, it is valid to short here. Your stop loss would be right there. It's not a great short, but if I wanted to get short, I would want to get short from here at 109, because I would like a higher probability short with less risk. But this is less risk too, but it's a higher probability of getting stopped out. I would also like to long around here. Like if I were long, I'm short. If I were shorting, I would like to short this. Oh my god. I like to short this region here. Like that's like the area I'm interested in shorting. Yeah, you could short here, but I'm more interested in up there, because you have a more defined stop loss, less risk, and I think it's just better. Another way you can look to short is, let's say you do reject here, but you do not want to short here right away. What you do is you look to the daily level that was tested there at 103,000. Even at this level here, let me just change the color to daily. Right? If this daily candle starts closing below these levels, you're starting to lose support, and then your likelihood of it failing is a lot higher. And what I would even do is, like, if you really want to wait for it to just having more confirmation, is you sort of clear the liquidity here. You test this 102,000 level, and then the candle closes below 103, and then you look for a retest here, ideally at 104.7. Then you get a push more. That would be like a lot better. That's what I would like to look for. Test 102.7. This daily closes below it. Then it's gonna bounce a bit, and then you short the retest. That's like the best scenario. Like that's like A plus. Like give me that short 10 out of 10 times if you're looking for trend. Of course, take a profit taking there, because if it doesn't make a new low, then expectation would probably be like this. There's so many different scenarios, but what I'm trying to basically get across to you is what you should be looking for and how you should be approaching it, and how you should be thinking of, like, oh, if it clears this level of liquidity, if it does that test, and then after it does that test, then I would look to long. That's the way you have to be thinking. You can't just be thinking, oh, it looks like a good short here, I'm gonna try short. You gotta sort of look ahead and be like, how am I gonna really capitalize on this short, right? Because you could, for instance, you could enter short here, have a small position, and then you can start to add, right? If it does what it does, then you start to add on your confirmations. And when you start to add on confirmations, your short becomes more likely, and then your stop losses and your risk tolerance is a lot more defined. Your stop loss is a lot more defined. Your risk is more defined. What you're going to be trying to generate and profit is a lot more defined too, because you could actually press your move. You can press your shorts even more because you're basically playing the trend then, right? Because what you're expecting is lower lows and lower highs from that point on. And hopefully that doesn't hold at 101 and you just get the banger right there. That's what I have right now for Bitcoin. Snoozeberry, do you want me to cover one more thing? Do you have anything you would like me to go over? Any requests? If you don't have anything, I could just I can just go and I can just do my own chart on something else. Let's look at Ethereum. Oh, you're typing. Oh, that was awesome. Good. I'm glad you got something out of it. Hey, do you want me to cover Ethereum or do you want me to cover something else? I'm going to do one more chart. ETH would be cool. Okay, let's start with ETH. I think Coinbase is the best, right? So I already have my lines already played out. But let's it's always good to start fresh. So we're going to start fresh. Okay. Where do we start? Always start from the monthly. If you don't start from the monthly, you're missing out. You're being an idiot. I'm not calling you an idiot, Snoozeberry, but if you don't, you are losing out on tons of potential. Okay, so that's the monthly level we closed above. It was 25.12. We're going to mark it purple so we know where our monthly levels are. This is the most important monthly level to close above. I'm going to change this color to green, for instance, because you want to close above it. Why? This is the move that took you up. It took you all the way down to that low. So if you got monthly closes above this, you're going to make all-time highs on Ethereum, in my opinion. At least a test to here. But like once you get up there, that's pretty good at that point. Okay, you have monthly resistance here. You have monthly resistance here, which is already testing, right? That's why it's rejecting here. So I'm going to cover that. Where's your next levels of monthly of support? Comes all the way to 1933 to this swing at 1973. Is there anything else really? I don't really. Could work. But I would like something more local. I don't want that. It was the move that took you to the all-time high. This was the move, actually, that took you to the all-time high. This move was part of it. But it's way far out from your trend. Because they've already used this to go to... Like, what I'm looking at is they've already used this level here. This one here that took you up here. They've already used it to try to make that new high. Right? And I'm looking at it, I'm like, it doesn't make sense because they already used it to make that new high. Right? So that's why I'm not really interested in it. That was your attempt there. The next attempt would be here because that took you lower. So that's why I'm not really interested in that swing. So I'm going to delete it. Okay, then we're going to push it to the weekly. Weekly was holding this swing right here. Market thing. And actually the weekly right now, it did a nothing again. It really didn't lose anything other than right here. And it just gave the retest of that weekly level right here at 25 25.14. So they're already trying to dump it, and expectation would probably be new low below 23.23, because now that I see these weekly candles, there's probably something developing on the daily. Okay, let me get more weekly levels of support, right? So that new low would actually coincide with this weekly level here. So I'm going to take that out. So you actually have a valid level to look at. So they're actually trying to come to 22.97. And then you have weekly support coming here to 2005. Yeah, you have a lot of weekly levels. Okay, so let's break down this trend here. You came up, right? And then you came down to the lows. And then you came up. And then you came down. And then this is your swing. And that's not that. This is your swing up right now, right? So out of these levels, there's a lot of significance around here. So I don't know which one it's going to bounce from. Like, it's a big ass zone, but you know what we could do? We could mark that midpoint. So let's get the rectangle, and then let's draw it all the way down to that level. So the midpoint aligns with that 1793 monthly level. It's funny how it works, huh? So 1793 would actually be an amazing spot to get long on ETH if we do get a pullback. It would actually be the best case scenario to actually get long on Ethereum. If you lose 22.97, if you fall below that, because then you actually have that move in play to take you to those levels there. But it does look good because it is likely 22.97 holds, because this is your trend here, right? It came up, down, down. This basically took you to that high. And then if you look at it from the monthly, this is your monthly trend on that. I'm going to change that red line to, let's just say, blue for this case scenario. So you sort of understand that trend there. That took you to that move up. So if you do want to hold that, you really want to see this blue line sort of be in the same confluence with that to possibly take you to 3,000 next. So that's what I have right now for the weekly. It's really a nothing much. It's just fail below here. When I say here, I'll point an arrow. It fell below that weekly level right there. Whoops. Right here. So now it's trying to make a push for it. Let's say if they hold this 24.54 level again, it's very unlikely because they've already came to it several times. So now let's look at the daily. It's funny how there's like a lot of confluence here. You have daily here, of course, right? That's pretty obvious. And then you have daily here. Your invalidation for longing Ethereum is here. I'll mark it red. Because if this 23.82 doesn't hold, you're coming to 22.97. And same case scenario, let's say you do make a new low, takes it out, sucks, right? But try to get long as close as possible to the red. But then let's say if you do make a new low, maybe you do test this weekly, and then if you close back above it again, then you have another reason to get long there. And then you could probably push up. You have a lot of resistance here on Ethereum. You have daily, so you need to get above here. There's a lot of resistance here on the daily. If you get a daily close above 2608, then you can look for that retest to push higher. Why? Because this level here, these level here, that's not the tool on. This level here is tested, right? It's tested here. So there's no liquidity here once they get above 2608. Because they've already used everything here. Like they've already gave the rejection from 2787. So these level here's are tested as well too. So that's going to sort of help you get that bigger move to 3000. If you do see that case scenario of if we do pump. So if we do start to pump above 2608 and we get a daily close above there, you're going to get that confirmation to go higher. So this is basically all air from there. Yeah, the bear scenario, yeah, it's like if you start to get weekly closes below 2297, if this doesn't hold, you make a new low. Here, let me clean up my chart a bit. There's a lot of daily shit here. Okay, let me just clean up some of the daily stuff. Let's say you do make another new low below that red. Maybe gives that steep retest, and then the daily steeps closing below. This would act as resistance because you have a lot of daily resistance here, right? This would act as resistance. So you could come back up to here, and then you get that push down because this area here, the bottom range, let's say right here, look, you see those wicks, how many times they came as support and they tried to hold it. So I would act that would be your level of resistance, unless they hold above it again. You close above it, but I would expect this region here to be strong resistance before we get that push down. So that's what you're looking for from the long and short side. I just know this, like what we do know is this is going to push up if we get above 2608. So this is a push up. If we get above here, if we fail below, back below again, then it's a push down. But the range here on Ethereum is very tight relative to Bitcoin. It's actually like very tight. It's like getting tight. Yeah, I think that's what I have right now. Luki, I just finished. I'm basically done. I've been streaming for 35 minutes. I'm going to post the video right now. But I'm glad you made it towards the end. Okay. Thank you guys for joining. I'm going to call it right here. I'll be streaming again next week. And then if you have any more questions or if you want to clarify any ideas or anything, I'm always free to do so. Just like post your stuff in trading questions or video requests. So if you want to focus on a topic or an idea that you want to understand better, or just want me to just chart some shitcoin for you, I'll do that. So yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it.